I've got a confession to make. I've been lying all this time. I'll get more into exactly what that lie is that I've been talking about a little later in the video. But right now I want to get you a little bit more information about how the animation is going down. In this first scene, we have an introduction of one of the characters named Flo. And I wanted to make her introduction kind of special. So I figured she would start with her back to the audience, the camera, and she would swivel around, and then there would be a spotlight on her. And that was easier said than done. That would be a frame-by-frame kind of a drawing thing. It's about a 3-second shot, and that actually took 5 days. Why did it take 5 days? Funny, you should ask. Well, because, two things. Number one, I'm learning the program. Number two, it's very labor-intensive type of animating. This is not a push-button thing. This is drawing 12 or more frames per second. So it took quite a while, and as I'm learning the program, these things will go faster. But I first tried doing it in a different program. It didn't work. 2 days later, I started over from scratch. And I'm using basically 5 programs to pull off the visuals. I'm using Clip Studio Paint for character design and certain other things. I'm using Moho Pro for the actual main animations. And I'm using a new program called Rebel, new to me, which imitates real-world artist materials like paintbrushes, pencils, oil paint, watercolor. You can actually make the paint drip. And I'm going to use that one for mostly backgrounds and stuff. Still have to learn that one from scratch. But the other two I'm still learning, and that's why it's taken so long. Once the animation is done, I put it into a program called Apple Motion. And in there I do some special effects and some spotlights and movable lights. Then I put it all into Final Cut Pro, which is my editing software. I add the voiceover, sound effects, mix it all together. So it's quite a process, but before I get into the actual fib that I was telling you about, which will come soon, I want to show you some of the process I've been going through, so you'll see why it took so long. So let's get to it. Okay, here we have Flo's face, and the way I created this in order to make it animatable was I made several mouths, which I had to lip sync to the songs. This is the closed mouth. Then I switch it to, say, ah, and then I can, let's say I got an oo mouth, E, T, S, L, and TH, F, and V, and this is a sad Flo. Most of the time, though, she's mouth closed, which is rare for Flo. She likes to talk. And I also have separate things like her glasses, sunglasses on top of her head, and then we can switch to her sunglasses in front of her eyes, and let's see, then we've got the brows are 2 separate layers. I can make them move up and down, and one at a time if I want. Then the lids, this is, let's get rid of her pupils. First, here's her pupils. Certain things I have to ditch the pupils, but I can switch from lids open to lids closed to make her blink, to lids half open, and then back to lids open. And I would turn on the pupils because otherwise she looks a little bit like a zombie. Her pupils, here are pupils. Here we are. And I can move the pupils to, oops, that was not correct. I can move the pupils together as a group or individually. And of course, when I created this, I had to create the outlines on one layer and the colors on another layer just so I could have more control. And then I could animate it on the timeline down here. Then, of course, we have backgrounds for Flo. The first background in scene number 1, which is, I'm calling chapter number 1, is from a program called Clip Studio. Here we have her bedroom, and everything's on different layers. I have the mirror on one layer, the dresser and the picture behind her on another layer. disco ball, bed, and the walls are in their own separate folder. I could get rid of the side wall one at a time. I could get rid of the back wall. And I could also animate the changing of the lighting. For instance, the back wall, if I wanted it to be not so bright, I just diminish the transparency. And when that's all done, I superimpose in Final Cut Pro, I'll superimpose faces, body, and face on top of this where it's necessary. And I could also then bring it into another program called Apple Motion to add lighting effects and spotlights and things like that. Yeah, so that's it for flow in scene 1 for the most part. Okay, what you're seeing here is the Meat Street Choir. They do a lot of background singing on and off throughout the whole film. And what's coming up right after I start this is the introduction to Happy Hills with Nurse Rather on the phone talking to Flo. And then I'll show you that scene that I was talking about that took me 5 days to create. So let's play that.
Good morning, Happy Hills, a home for the mentally unique. This is Nurse Rather.
Marcia, for God's sakes, it's me, Flo!
Flo is a pre-op trans woman trapped in a man's body who's getting ready to have her penis whacked on.
You do remember I'm 5 years old, right?
Tonsillectomy.
Listen, Marcia, I know I have to come in tomorrow for the big switch surgery, but I was wondering, could I just have one more day, maybe a week, a month would really...
Flo,
And keep in mind, this is me as Uncle Neal reading a bedtime story to my 5-year-old nephew named Orson. Yes, we have a very strange family. So as you can see, this is really not a cartoon made for kids, and it does cover a bunch of controversial topics. So what is this lie I've been teasing you all with since the beginning of this video? Well, I've been telling you all for several episodes that this was a one-man job and it was done on zero budget. Yeah, my wife sat me down one day and in her own New York Italian way said, "You it's not a zero budget." And she started to explain to me, basically she said, and she's right, I really am not very good with money. I don't think about money and cost of things. And when I do a project, I'm into just two things. I want it to be aesthetic, I want it to be entertaining, and I want it to have a message. And the message to me really is as important as the entertainment value, because my philosophy is that if there are things going on in this crazy world that a lot of people need to know about and they don't, how do you prevent yourself from just preaching to the choir? Because frankly, if we're going to turn this problem around with the world, we need a bigger choir. So my thing has always been, let's make it entertaining, funny, serious, emotional, artistic, using music, art, acting, anything I can think of. So I don't really think about what the cost is in hours, in years of my life. And yeah, I'm 76 right now, and I'm doing this 7 days a week. It'll probably take me another 2 years to finish this. So she said, "You're not doing this on zero budget." But now I ran into the problem of also I'm using a computer back here that's a 2010 Mac Pro. It's a workhorse. It's a great computer. I've got nine hard drives hooked up to it. And it's been the thing that I've used for all my video and all my music. But I reached a point where I just couldn't do anything better than what I was doing on it because the operating system can't be upgraded anymore. And the upgrading was really important because that'll allow me to go much faster and as well as making much better video. And that's really what's important to me. Basically, I was saying, well, it's zero budget because I wasn't counting the fact that I'm working for free 7 days a week for the next 2 or 3 years. Hollywood isn't coming to me to fund this project. So anyway, not to belabor the point, it is something that I need to finish, you know, and speed is of the essence, and this is the message she wanted me to get across to all you folks. If you want to help support this project and anything else I'm doing, please go to patreon.com and you can become a patron for not much money every month. If you don't want to make it a monthly thing, you could also do a one-time payment, or you could buy me a cup of coffee or several cups of coffees. It'll keep me awake and I'll be able to get this done quicker. That's the whole thing. I think if you like my message, if you like the information getting out to people, please give me a hand and help me finish this thing before I'm 80. I think that's a great idea. So I love you guys. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.